Hey yo, it's your boy Caleko. Today on Mining America and Chasing Fire, because this is totally an episode of Chasing Fire, I'm going to be working on the fire agate pendant that I have been carving inside of my live streams. Now, at this point, I have about 10 hours worth of work into this pendant, yet this last part should only take me about 45 minutes to have it totally finished and completed. And to some people, that might think that's too much time to spend on a gemstone like this. Yet, I wouldn't sell this thing for anything less than $500, and I'd really like $1,000 if I sold it, yet I don't plan on selling it. I plan on keeping this one for me to wear personally. I don't have a nice fire agate piece that I wear around, and this is going to be my necklace piece. I've had somebody talk about I could have it wrapped, which they're probably very right about that. It's probably a very good piece to have wrapped. Yet I have drilled it and it has a perfect hole going through it that ends up working perfect, I'm pretty sure, to just go ahead and hang a rope chain through. So I'm going to buy myself a silver chain right now. It deserves some gold, but I can only afford silver, and I'm going to end up wearing this piece around. That's my plan for it. So let's get into the polishing. Today we're going to be using Diashine products. I'm going to be showing you my uses for a whole bunch of different Diashine products and how I like to use them. So more of that right after this. Alright, so this is where I am on this fire agate so far. This is polished with a 600. I finished shaping it away from the camera. That took me way longer than I thought it would, a couple of hours. Now I have these little white spots right here that I'm going to take a 600 and I'm going to try and get at them real quick. Just little bits of white agate inside the creases. I'm going to not worry about the white agate on the sides over here. Although I should have just shaped that a little bit better and sort of rounded it down a little bit more is what I'm thinking now. Yet there always seems to be something I'm missing, and I feel like I should go back over it. Yet I want to get a polish on this, and this piece is going to be for me. I'm going to use Diashine products to go ahead and finish this stone out. As you can see, it is shaped like a pendant, has a nice hole right there to go ahead and string a chain through or a rope through, or a piece of leather, but I won't be using a piece of leather. I'll be using a silver chain as soon as I order one, which I haven't done yet. But it should be a beautiful pendant. I expect some more green to come out of this when I'm using my Diashine products, and I'm hoping I don't lose any of this color because I am right on top of it, and there's a couple of spots where I went a little bit too deep and started to go through the color and get to some of the bronze. Yet there are more color bars inside of it. If I wanted to recarve it, I could. Thanks, computer. If I wanted to recarve it, I could. Yet I'm not really big on recarving this one right now. I'm big on finishing this one out, and I think this is going to be my private little necklace piece because I don't wear any fire agate right now, and I should really wear some fire agate. Here are the Diashine products we're going to be using. In this video, I use everything you see here except for the Diathin. I do use the Diaflex and the Diashine polishing powders. They're absolutely of top grade. Some people think they are a little bit expensive, but I think they are well worth the money for the amount of work that they do and how aggressive they are. Check the link in the description to be able to purchase Diashine directly from the store. That link will take you to their gem carvers page, and at the bottom of that page, if you're not ready to make a purchase, you can order a free sample pack that they are giving away. If you are ready to make a purchase, you can use code Caleko, C-A-L-E-K-O, in the coupon code area to save 10% off of every item you purchase until the last day of March 2020. And if you want some fire agate to carve, make sure you also check links in the description to get to my Etsy store to be able to buy some top grade fire agate. I have fire agate of all kinds in there right now at the recording of this video, from low grade to super high grade rough, ready to be carved into amazing gemstones. Make sure you check my store out for all of the amazing stuff I have to offer. Now, as I stated earlier, This is polished down to a 600 to 800 grit using Varencore burrs, and I kept the shaping all with the hard burr. I haven't used any soft burrs on it yet, and I'm going to start on this using this Diashine Diaflex. Now they're not very flexible, but it's called the Diashine Diaflex. You can see all the diamonds in the side of it. It's very, very sparkly. These Diaflex have a really good aggressive cutting ability. This medium should very much help me take out some of the tool marks you can see just a little bit in the sides. Now I did a pretty good job of getting most of the tool marks out, but there's a few little tool marks I want to get out of the sides, and this medium will help me do that, and it'll help me keep it right about at the same polish. So I'm going to be using my Diaflex for it, and they are this thick, and although you can use them dry and you can use them with water, I'm going to work on mine using mineral oil. Now in between each stage of using a Diaflex, I'm going to wash the stone with soapy water and a clean toothbrush to make sure I get all of the diamond grits off of the stone, and so I don't pollute any of my other Diaflexes or anything else or leave scratches in further polishes I want to use. Now I'm not going to use my Diaflex on any of the color, one because a lot of the color is very rounded, and not this one at least, and then number two, because I don't need to change the shaping of the color. The color is shaped really well. I actually am going to end up using one of my Diaflexes in this back area, but I'm not going to use this coarse. I'm going to use either a coarse fine, this medium. This is a medium. I'm not going to use this medium. I'm going to either use a medium fine or a fine to go ahead and remove a little bit and give a little bit of a better polish to bring this yellow orange to try and get to the green that's right below it. Yet the green that's right below this orange yellow, it is very thin, so it's really easy to go through. So I'm going to try and just get there because I want to polish it and have more green running through it, or at least some swirls of green. That's my plan. Let's move right to it. Now to use the mineral oil, all I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit of mineral oil on my finger. I'm going to go ahead and place this on the stone. And of course I placed it on the stone I don't plan on using these on, which is the color right there. I don't plan on using it on the color right there. I plan on using this on the back areas, and I plan on using it on the sides. Now the reason I'm using mineral oil is to try and extend the life of the Diaflex. With water, the Diaflex sort of eats away a little bit faster than I want it to. The mineral oil gives it a little bit of lubrication, so the Diaflex will last a little bit longer. And I'm still keeping my circling motions and stuff like that to help me get rid of any tool marks I have inside of this piece without making any new ones. Now any jagged edges are going to go ahead and cut into the Diaflex, and that'll waste it a little bit, so you really don't want to run it over any jagged edges. You can see some of the diamonds starting to stick on the stone there from the Diaflex wearing off. Not wearing off as in like going away, but wearing off of the bigger piece of Diaflex and being left behind. Now, part of the reason that I'm rounding the edges on the back is because corners break. Corners break themselves, corners break things. So in general, you want to get rid of your sharper edges, especially on something you plan on wearing a pendant like this, because rounded edges don't break as easily. They don't break other things, they don't break themselves, they don't chip quite as easily as sharp edges do. I'll go over the sides real quick one more time just to make sure I got any tool marks out. Alright, now I'm going to give this thing a bath real fast. Got it all over my fingers too. So you want to inspect your stone in between each time that you go to switch to make sure that it's actually ready, and you want to inspect it dry. And I have a couple of little tool marks over here on the sides, yet for the type of tool marks they were specifically cut so that when you're looking forward on the stone, you wouldn't see any of the brown chalcedony, you just see the color on top. Now I could flatten some of that out with a hard grit, yet I really don't want to. You can see my fingerprints there. Yet there's a little bit better I could do on this tool mark right here and right there by the nose. I'm scared to hit the color on top. I really don't want to do that. Yet I do want to get these tool marks a little bit better over there and a little bit over here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go over it one more time. Alright, I think I'm done with these sides. I'm going to clean it up again and we'll see how it looks. Alright, here we go. It's definitely a lot better. It's definitely looking more the way I want it to look. See my fingerprints? Let me rub my fingerprints off of it. See a hair of still tool marks right around here. You can see it's been worked, but it's still real light. Now the top, you can't see any real tool marks because it looks the way I wanted it to. I was really worried about the shaping more there than I was on the sides. I was just trying to get it down to where it'd be a nice pendant stone. So I think that's good enough. I'm going to move on. Now I'm going to be using a Diaflex Fine. I'm going to give this some mineral oil again. This just helps keep the friction down a little bit, helps keep it a little bit cooler. Alright, now I've cleaned the stone off from the last bit of mineral oil I've put on it. And it's making it so hard to hold on to. I've dropped it a few times down in the water. So I think I'm going to just go ahead and use some water drip and this fine to go ahead and keep polishing this area a little bit. Now it seems like in this area the green is so thin and so light that even when I just go through the orange to get at the green just disappears really fast and is sort of angular. So I'm sort of going to stop worrying about it down here, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to give it a nice finish, a nice fine finish, and then take this stone to polish. See, I go through that little bit of orange right there, and there's just another little layer of orange right beneath it. I can see the little window that got cut there. You guys can't see it for some reason. It's changed my light a little bit. There you go. Now you can see those little areas that, like, little holes in the orange. Then there's just a light orange below it. It's not going to the yellow or the green up there. So I'm going to keep polishing a little bit, and then with this fine Diaflex, and then I'm going to move on. Don't want to overwork the stone like we've seen previously in other videos I've done. Alright, so here's where we are on that yellow with a little bit of green behind it. I can just barely see the green starting to poke through the yellow to where that gives sort of the yellow a greenish tint. But like I said, anywhere else that I really started to expose the green disappeared, and I got to sort of a little bit of a colorless agate below that. Let me see if I can get you to see. Especially in this area. I mean, by looking at that, it looks like I could have just gone ahead and carved a little bit more, but I was really scared because you can see the color's sort of gone in the center of that. And so I was worried about that happening some more, so I didn't want to push it any farther. I mean, this is going to be my stone, so I'm totally fine with the way it is right now, to tell you the truth. I'm going to go ahead and take this to polish. Because I really like it, and I don't want to lose any more color in it. I want it to be as bright as possible, even if there are some imperfections. If you go to order some Diashine products, don't forget to use code Caleko in the coupon code area to save 10% on your order. That code is going to be good until the last day of March 2020. So anybody watching this video after then, sorry, but March 2020 is the end of that code, which that part sort of sucks because my birthday's in April. But use code Caleko, C-A-L-E-K-O, in the coupon code area to save 10% on any Diashine products you purchase until the end of March. Now you might want to grab a piece of paper and write this down because this is the most important part when you're making your order from Diashine. These 3 polishing powders are key to getting a fantastic shine at the right price on your fire agate. You're going to want to order a medium soft polishing powder, you're going to want to order a fine polishing powder, and you're going to want to order a superfine soft polishing powder. These 3, used one after another, make an amazing wet look shine on your fire agate. Also, don't forget to check my store. Link is down in the description so that you can get your fire agate. I am selling some amazing rough of all grades, from low-grade cabbing rough that probably doesn't have any fire in it to amazing boxes that have a ton of fire already showing. Link is down in the description. I have 2 of my favorite items to use with the Diashine polishing powders. One of them is this brush mandrel. Any type of brush mandrel like this, but especially the ones that look like hog hair, work really well, although they can dry the powder out real fast and put it into the air. Yet they still do an amazing job, especially getting into creases in areas like that. My other go-to tool is these felt tip mandrels. Now you get a bunch of them for 18 bucks. You get 100 pieces. The one thing about these felt mandrels you have to remember is 1, they wear off rather quickly, and 2, you want to make sure that you use a different mandrel for different grits and not to cross-contaminate them because you don't want to ruin your polishes by accidentally cross-contaminating rougher grits with your finer grits. Now when I'm using Diashine products to polish, I use a 3-step powder process with theirs, and I start with a medium soft. So I'm going to start with this medium soft. I'm going to go ahead and brush some of it on. Now, especially with this hog hair brush on some of the coarser grits, you're probably going to have to reapply it. Sometimes more than once or twice you might need to reapply it depending on how the polish is coming on your stone. But the important part is to make sure that your stone actually goes from the 600 grit grind to what looks to be about a 1200 grit polish. It's not a mirror finish with this medium soft. It's still sort of a hazy polish, but it's more reflective by far than the 600 grit grind is. I've also found that inspecting your stone while working, and especially inspecting your stone before you move on to the next phase in any part of carving and polishing your stone, is super important. Even at this stage in my carving career and life, I still find myself missing areas and not getting something exactly perfect before I'm done doing what I should be doing, and I don't find that out until I'm at the very end of the stone. And that means I have to go back to certain phases of it and redo those areas if I want it to look really great. Now, this stone in and of itself tends to be a larger stone and has some crevices and nooks and crannies in it that will be difficult in later phases. And if you miss a step, like say with this medium soft, it's not going to be near as easy to bring to a good polish in my fine and super fine stages.
Doesn't feel good when it grabs your finger and goes over top of it.
When you start to grind on the color with your medium soft Diashine powder, you want to make sure you don't overwork it, especially at this stage. Because if you got as close to the color or right on top of it like I did, you can very well wipe the color away using your polishing powders. So when you're polishing the color sides, you want to especially take care to get them to the finish you want without losing the color in the finish. If you notice, I'm turning the stone as I'm inspecting it because I want to see the polish from all angles of the color. I want to make sure that I'm getting the angles properly that'll keep the stone in the shape that the colors are representing at, so that you can see them from most of the angles that the light will play off of it.
All right, I think that's ready to move on to the next stage. Gonna wash it off. Now, in my opinion, that's about a 1200 polish right there. It's ready to move up to 2 more. That's a little bit wet for my fingers on that backside. But the rest of this is right about a 1200 polish. I definitely believe that. So I'm going to move on. The only places I really didn't get polished is like there's a couple of crevices in that hole that didn't quite catch the polish. But it's not that big of a deal in there. With the next level, I'll go ahead and try and hit that too. Yet there's going to be a little bit in that hole I'm not going to be able to get. But that's going to be fine. I don't want to lose the color I have there. Although I still think I could recarve this stone in the future. Especially this area down here. I think I could recarve that because of the color bars I see down in the face. Yet I don't want to do that now. I want to finish this video. For the next stage, I'm going to be using Diashine Fine. The last one I was using was medium soft. This is going to be Diashine Fine. So now I have my Diashine Fine polishing powder on the mandrel. Oh, just sprayed a bunch of that all over the place.
Now, the better of a polish you get on the stone, the slicker it's going to become. Sometimes it's going to be really hard to hold on to and you're going to drop it. So I always suggest you work over top of something that's going to catch it and hopefully have a carpet or something on the ground in case you tend to have the stone shoot out of your hands. It doesn't happen very often to me, but it does still happen. Usually I just drop the stone straight down when it slips out of my hands, but I have had those times where the mandrel goes over my finger and sort of hits the stone and knocks it out of my hands. See what I'm saying? Again. So anytime you drop your stone down in the water below you, if it's dirty water like what I have, you definitely want to clean the stone and start over again. You don't want to just start putting more polishing paste on the stone once you dropped it into dirty water, because then you're going to end up having mixed up some coarse grit with your fine grit, and you're going to end up screwing up the polish. Now, when I say starting over, I don't mean starting over completely from the beginning, as in you need to repolish everything, but starting over to not have any dirt on your stone or any old grit on your stone when you go to repolish it, because you definitely don't want to over polish the stone and lose any color.
After going over it with the fine, you can see the polish it has on it now. But there's a couple of areas I'm really not happy with the polish. You see that reflection right there? That's not just the polish I'm sort of unhappy with. I cut a flat spot right there, and I have a couple of scratches in it that I didn't realize till I'm getting to the end of this polish. I'm definitely going to end up recutting this stone in the future. Now I'm just going to make it as good as I can. It's not quite polished in that concaved area right there. Not really happy with that flat spot. So I'm definitely going to end up recutting this stone at some point. But right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get one of my wood dowel burrs that I made recently, so I can get that, and so I can polish that a little bit better. Get that concaved area and polish that a little bit better. Now I need to take my fine and get in between this area a little bit more too. Yet I don't want to over polish the green and end up losing any of that color, because I'm really close to being through that color bar. I did overwork my green a little bit more than I should have, but I do believe there are other great colors in this stone, and so it could very well go to another recutting. But you can see how great the Diashine products work. I love the Diashine products, I really do. And I changed my mind about my wood burrs. I'm going to use one of these cotton burrs that I have. I have a whole box of these, so I'm going to use one of these and some of this Diashine Soft. Might use to be a little bit wetter, but I'm going to use this to get down in those two areas that I'm having problems with at the moment. But down here is one of the areas it's not quite doing what I want. Right there is the other area. Might need a little bit more of that Diashine. Might need to get a tiny bit wetter. Well, it's really good except for that little area in under where that slice was. That could use a little bit more help. Otherwise, it's looking great. Now, I went over a couple other areas with that felt tip a little bit. I went over the nose a little bit more with that felt tip. I tried to go over that, and you can tell it's got a little bit of a better shine, but it still has the imperfections from the saw going in. And my fingernail broke that little lip that was right there, but I'm just going to leave it, because like I said, I plan on recarving this stone a little bit at some point. It's a fantastic looking stone. It's not done. I still have one more layer of Diashine to go through, but you can see the fantastic gloss that's on it right now, only with going over those two different polishing powders that come with that you can get from Diashine. The medium soft and the fine is where we're at right now, and now I'm going to go over it with the Superfine. Well, that got that area more shiny. That definitely worked. Worked pretty well. Now I'm going to take my Superfine Soft and go over it one time, although for most people this polish is plenty good enough. It doesn't need much more. But I myself, I definitely go to one more step. Although I should take that fine and do that area now since I've done everything else. It is the back though. It's not an area it's going to matter. But time to move on to the Superfine Soft. Oh, here we go with the Superfine Soft. Alright, here we are. Looks wet the whole way around. Everything on it looks polished really nicely. I dropped it more than a few times. Polished even the back side. Nice wet look on all of it. Now this is only using Diashine products. This is no cerium oxide. Nothing else. There are a couple areas I'm still unhappy with, where I made that slice with the saw blade on it, trying to cut extra chalcedony off. I cut into that color right there. That was upsetting to me from all the way to the beginning. That's one area. This area that I didn't realize I hadn't gone over with a 600 good enough to get those scratches out. That's an area I'm not really too happy with. I have this area right here where there was those nubs that didn't have the great color on them. This color might actually be below that area right there, but I didn't take it down far enough to get to that either. So as far as it goes right now, those are the only real areas I'm unhappy with. I did work the green a little bit too much, trying to make it perfect, trying to get little areas of the bronze that were on top off of it. And the green is still there after polish. That's the important part. But trying to get things just right, I can tend to overwork things sometimes. That's one of my biggest issues. Still got some of that purple and blue down on the nose, yet the purple color and the blue color that appeared in this stone earlier seem to be very light in color.
This is what it looks like not being under the really bright lights. You can see a little spot in that green. See that little spot? It's not as green as the rest of it. Yeah, that's an area that definitely got overworked a little bit. Purple and blue on the sides still show up. Now there is more layers to this stone. Part of the reason I wanted to leave some of the area up here thicker than the base, is so that if I wanted to recut it and find those color bars below, I still have that opportunity. The polish is all there. Yet some of the cut I can see my flaws in. But this is for me. When I sell a stone, I really like to be have it be as flawless as I can possibly make it. Yet I'm still a novice at cutting fire agate. I am not a professional at this. I have learned a lot of tricks, and I've shared most of those tricks with you guys. This is still an amazing stone. It's going to make an amazing pendant for me, that's for sure. Oh, the sun just come out. I was trying to show it out in a shady day on the shady area, but now the sun just came out, so. Now this is in the shade with no sun, and I swear fire agate looks better in the shade than it does with direct sunlight on it, or even direct lights at all. Like in the shade, it looks way more awesome to me, especially on camera. Sure does. Well, I hope this video was helpful and informative. Don't forget to use my code if you go to purchase any Diashine products. Once again, that's code Caleko, C-A-L-E-K-O. And this stone turned out really, really good. Now, there are a couple of flaws in it from... I already pointed those out earlier, so you know what I'm talking about, but it did not turn out perfect, because I'm still learning. I am definitely still a novice in cutting fire agate, yet me trying to get a stone perfect with my 600 grit burr is sometimes what leaves me with an imperfect stone. So I should really learn, and you should learn from my mistakes, because people that learn from other people's mistakes are intelligent people. But things I need to learn is sometimes to lay off that good enough is good enough right now, that if it doesn't come out in the polish, then I can try and fix it right about then. Because there are some areas where I lost just a hair of color on the edges, and that green could have gone a little bit more. But the bonus is, if I ever want to recarve this stone, I can. Yet right now, the way I plan on doing it is I'm going to put a rope through that chain. I'm going to put a chain rope through that, and I'm going to wear that myself. I plan on keeping that one for myself because I don't wear any fire agate, and it's one of my favorite stones. And I should obviously start wearing one if it's some of my favorite stuff. So thank you so much if you made it to this point in the video. I hope that understanding how to use the Diashine products properly and with the easiest effect. My method is geared towards you being able to get a really great polish and it costing you as little as possible. So you're going to spend about $150 on the 3 powders that I talked about using in this video, yet the amount of stones you're going to be able to polish for that $150 is definitely going to make it worth it. Now, the mandrels with the brushes that I use, the brush mandrels, the hog hair mandrels, those you can get on Amazon for like $10 for 12 of them. They're really not very expensive. I also recommend that you get some felt tip burrs. You can get those from Amazon too, and it's like 100 of them for 20 bucks. So a lot of times when you're doing your polishes, you're gonna burn through one of those felt tip burrs in polishing one large stone, which that stone I was carving this time, that pendant stone, that's considered a large stone. You know, the smaller stones that can be done as ring stones, the really small ones, those are not the larger stones. Also, they're not going to have near as many like grooves and crevices in it, which is going to eat up those felt tip burrs a lot more. If it's really nice and smooth, then the felt tip burrs are going to last you a little bit longer. Now, make sure that you don't go and use one polishing paste with a felt tip burr and then use that same felt tip burr with another polishing paste. You always need to make sure that you don't cross-contaminate it. It's a big deal to getting your finish to looking really, really good. You need to keep those separated from each other because you don't want a coarse grit getting on a really fine grit, because then your polish is not going to come out the way you want it to. That's about it for me right here. Once again, I love you for watching, and I'll see you soon.